Right. Hello everyone. I hope you can see me, hear me, as well see the presentation. So let me just check, do a quick check if everything is good from my side. Just revert back in the chat. Things are good so that I can, start in a minute or so. Okay. So just, we're expecting a few more students to attend. Before we start, it will be good if you can just drop a line saying which admit season are you looking at, fall 2021 or spring 2022, fall 2022, something like that, so that I understand the audience that we have. Just a simple line. I'm assuming that all of you are looking at USA as an option, pursue higher studies, that is your master's or PhD. We're going to talk about the entire process and talk about some of the points that we would suggest our students. So that's something we're going to do. But before that, to just understand, it will be great if you can, you know just drop a one liner about which application season are you looking at? Spring 2021. Great, Gaurav. Thank you. What about others? Just so that we understand the audience that we have. And then talk a little bit more, relevant, maybe a little bit more specific to some of the points that I could, focus upon. 2022. Okay, which season, Subhajit? Like 2021 fall or okay? Just spring 2021. Great. Okay, got it. Okay, so there are few people who should ideally be, getting through the process. Then some people who are a little bit more futuristic, which is a great thing as well. So let's start the session. Okay, okay, great. So let's start the session. This session is going to talk about how you need to plan your higher studies, right? Masters or PhD in USA. So we're gonna try to keep it a little bit generic. I know it's a slightly different thing when it comes to PhD and masters, the logic, the idea, the reason, and how you're gonna go about all of that. But we'll try to keep a little bit of common things and here and there few things specific to that. So just before we start, a brief intro about the team if you're not aware of it. So I'm Jaydeep, the founder of this company. I've started this along with a couple of my friends who are also my batchmates at IIM. So we worked for a few companies and then we are passionate about education space. So we are trying to do something in this space with the help of technology. So this is one of the domain that we're doing study abroad. So just a brief intro about the team that's behind this. Madhav will be along with me as well in this journey. So let's start the session. So what are we going to do in this, right? What exactly are we going to do in the entire webinar? So this is the agenda of the webinar. The first part we're going to talk about is shortlisting the university and the program. This is a little bit, not a little bit, a big problem, because if you talk about universities in USA, there are almost 500 universities you can look at in terms of rankings and all. So what are the suitable ones for me? Which one should I apply for? And exactly the programs also. I get a lot of students getting confused with the programs as such. They don't understand what is the requirement for a specific program and would they be eligible for it or not, or sometimes students do not have an understanding of certain programs which they could apply for but they miss it out. So I'll just try to briefly talk upon it. It's a bit detailed discussion. It will be a more personalized discussion. So if you're interested, you can get in touch with our experts to with me and others in the team to get a little bit more details if you are interested in specific things. Then we're going to talk about the admission process. This is a very important thing because some of you are very futuristic. I would really want you to understand this, how long a process is and how much of a preparedness is required so that you actually optimize your preparation and do the right things at the right time. So that's a very important ingredient in the success for you to get into a good school. Profile parameters, ACATS, exam scores, all of those we'll talk briefly, touch upon that, the GREs and IELTS, TOEFLs, SOPs, LORs. Finally, another important aspect which we keep constantly getting questions from is about the fees that they have to spend and scholarships. What are the scholarships available and the loans? How do I get financings and all, and campus jobs, the assistantships that you get. So I'm going to touch upon that also to just give you a sense of what options are there, how much can we in terms of finance, and how much can we fund ourselves, or is there any other option, etc. Finally, I'll take up very specific queries, right? Anything related to your profile, anything related to general domain. So this will be a little bit more generic because I don't want to get into specific area as such. If you have anything specific, you can always get in touch with us through call. Otherwise, you will also get all your questions answered at the end of the webinar. So the only thing I'll say is that be a little bit patient. Just try to stick to it for 40-45 minutes, and already you'll get most of your questions answered, hopefully. If not, we'll still keep it open at the end, where we'll answer your questions. So, which university or program is the best one for me, right? There's a standard question we get from a lot of students, and there's no fixed answer for this, and there's no best person other than you who can answer it for yourself. We will guide you. That's what we believe in. It's not that we give you an answer. We should not give you an answer. Rather, we should give you some right questions which you should figure out by doing some research, and then get the answer that is what suits you. So first and foremost, before I get into what we recommend, I would want to answer 2-3 questions that we constantly get. Or rather, it comes to more on the program aspect. We see a lot of students getting confused with certain elements. Right, the first and foremost, very famous the very common question you get is, I am from a non-circuit branch, maybe even from electrical background, EC, triple, or maybe I could be from a mechanical or electrical, chemicals, or civil, chemical, etc. Can I apply for my master's or higher studies in computer science? This is a question that we get from some students. I would say that some universities would have restrictions. Maybe we'll show it as we get into the session, where they would ask you to have certain requirements, which requires you to do certain courses, which you might have or might not have done in your undergrad. If you have done them, you are pretty much allowed. But leaving some universities, a good chunk of universities, I would say. I mean, obviously, the top universities have a little bit more specifications with respect to that. But normal universities, good universities, would be open to even take candidates from non-computers or non-circuit branches to apply for masters in computer science background, right? But for that, you need to have a better profile. So if someone with computer science can get into a particular school with 300 GRE, the same school you might have to get 305, 310. Maybe your CGPA should be higher. So certain parameters compared to a profile, you will have a disadvantage. So you got to do better. But the answer for your question, that can I shift the domain? Absolutely yes, you can get into the computers. But other than that, the second one I keep hearing is that I want to do MBA. I want to do management. Okay, I don't want to do my undergrad. I've done my undergrad in engineering or something. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to shift to maybe non-ban. BBA is something relevant to management, but leaving that, if you've done any other course and you want to get into it, even if you do BBA, fundamentally MBA in US is basically for work ex heavy people. On average, you will see 3 to 4 years would be the median work experience, right? Our average work experience, depending on how you look at it, for a batch of students. So generally, less than 2 years of experience, we do not recommend people to go for MBA. I mean, it's not recommended, and it's not possible to go for US. At least I can say in UK, Australia, and some other countries, you find some universities accepting. But if you want to get something called MBA, then it's not possible for you if you are a fresher. So there are other options for you. There are things like engineering management, right? I've seen students who do this. This is a hybrid. This is like an overlap between engineers who are trying to get into management world. Even here, they would expect some experience. I mean, it is a plus for a profile, but it is not a mandatory. The average work ex is slightly lesser compared to MBA, what you see. There are programs related to masters in finance. There are programs related to masters in operations, supply chain, logistics, etc. So some people from engineering background get into it. It's a little bit specific to a domain in management and a broader spectrum of management. But these are certain things that you can do if you are a fresher or you do not have much of experience. But don't assume that you can get into MBA in any good B school just without having experience, right? Experience is very, very much required and appreciated. So for that, it's a different journey. So please try to understand that, have a little bit of clarity, do some research if you are still thinking not in the right direction. The third question that we constantly see is about the analytics and the data science. This is a very in-demand course, I would say. If you do this, the probability of getting job is one of the highest in the US at this point of time. In the whole world as such, the analytics data science is like booming and people are just going crazy. But I would say this is definitely a great program to look at. So this one does not have any restriction. So I was talking to one of my friend like some time back, and he was telling me that he did his analytics and data science masters in University of Texas, Dallas. And then he had his batchmates from hotel management, psychology, so different backgrounds. Yes, they do struggle a bit because it will be a little bit math heavy. You have to do statistics, you have to do a little bit of programming and all. But it's the university is open with the diversity factor in, and if you are willing to put that additional effort, you can get into this space. So there is no restriction per se with respect to what background you are coming from. But again, a profile with a experience or relevance in this space would always be appreciated and given a better due in the selection process. So not that it doesn't matter, but I'm saying that it is open for anyone to get in if you are really interested to see a domain shift or something. So these are the questions that we constantly keep getting with respect to the program choice, right? So yes, people who are from mechanical can get into industrial engineering or mechanical engineering masters. That's absolutely the same transition. So you can do a much better thing. Maybe you want to get into computers, you can absolutely do that. For ECE electrical, there's a computer engineering branch as well, so you can absolutely do that. So in a way, you can do same domain, or you can also shift the domain. But obviously, we have never seen someone from a computer science doing mechanical. That is not accepted because the requirements are pretty heavy for people to do certain course in undergraduation, which most of us wouldn't have done if you're not from a mechanical background. So that way, that transition would not happen. But leaving that, which is not a site we generally see, I just wanted to clear these things that yes, you can do shift to computers, you can do MBA, but you need to have work experience. If you don't have work experience, you want to immediately go, then you have to look for other programs which are masters in marketing, masters in finance, masters are engineering management, etc., which are like a part of management, but not exactly MBA degree, right? But that's something still you can look at. And analytics is and data science is a red hot program that a lot of people do look at. If you are interested with numbers, do look at the curriculum. Right, if you're interested, you can get in this space without having any worry about the background you are coming from. So get into the universities, right? Which university should I look at, right? What is university that's suitable for me? So this one is a very specific thing, and to be frank, if you ask me, I want to do my master's in chemical engineering, so or I want to get into something specific in microbiology or something. So I am not, or I would say it's very hard for anyone to just get to you with top universities in mind. I'll tell you what's the best way. These are the university rankings given. These are the best sources that you would see, very famous ones. For US specifically, I would recommend strongly to look at US news rankings. Right, I'll just just get to that. I'll show you. US. Right, so you will get rankings on the whole for the country-wise universities. They also do domain specific, right? You're trying to get into mechanical engineering, you're trying to get into computer science or engineering as such. They do give ranks for that also. So you can actually see a lot of changes happening. Some universities which are top across the domains might not be the best one in a specific domain, and some universities which you would not see in the top 20, 30, 40 might be very, very good for a particular domain. I don't know what's happening. So that way, that's very important that you select the universities based on the ranking in the domain of your choice, not based on the overall ranking. Just because the university is ranked top 20 in a particular overall ranking in US doesn't make it a very good college, because you have to also check your domain specific ranks, right? So that's very, very important. As I said, you can get all of that. You can get based on, you can also look at the doctorate offer, not offer, the PhD candidates, because it's very, very important for you to look even more things, because it's not just the university, it's also the professor that matters. What is the research that's happening? Are they funded? Right? All of these things are considered into the ranking. So you should definitely look at, understanding that point a little bit more, because some programs are very good for management, not so good for the engineering, and some schools are very good for engineering and not so good for management. So you got to make sure you understand that and do it, right? You'll get the rankings like this, the overall rankings. You can also get the domain specific ranking, that is, let's see if you can get this, where they would say from mechanical engineering, from computer science engineering and business schools and all of that. You can see this. Let's see. For some reason it's very slow. Okay. So you can just check it. For some reason I'm not able to see the site now, but you can see the domain wise as well. I would say for US specifically, the QS rankings and THE, the Times Higher Education, is also pretty good, but they are more on the international level. I would recommend them to be also something you see, but the US news ranking is the best source when you're looking only at US universities. You can actually get through the rankings based on the domain that you're looking at and all of that, so that it will help you to actually get through understanding of the top universities in the domain you're looking at. Not necessarily that you're looking at only top 10, 20. Maybe your profile can get into top 50, top 70, top 100, top 150. But you need to understand what are those good universities which could be seen for your domain, right? So that is something you'll only come to know by doing research. So university rankings are pretty much, a very good source. I'm not saying that should be your ultimate source. That is step one. You chalk down certain universities, try to talk to some people over there. You can reach out to the admissions team over there. You can reach out to any seniors or any friends that you have who are doing in certain domains, so that you understand the quality that you will get in that university. There are a lot of factors that you need to ask to understand the quality of university. I'll talk about them, but this is something that you should do. Right, first you get to a basic rankings, you understand this. The second thing is, as I said, talk to your friends, seniors, whoever you can get in touch with in that domain, or even in general. So let's say you're interested in computer science and you know a friend or a senior who's doing mechanical engineering. At least that person can help you with understanding the campus life, can help you with understanding of the assistantships, the campus jobs that you can get. Maybe you can connect with someone in computers to say how good the particular department is and all of that, the professors, the internship opportunities, the placements and all. One thing I should also tell, if by chance you're not clear with it, it's not like Indian universities where it's responsibility of university to place you. They don't care anything about it. It's your job to go out, and yes, faculty might help, universities might help with the help of alumni network and all, but it's more to do with where you have to reach out and you have to apply, you have to sit for the placements by going outside. It's not that you'll expect that you sit in the college and companies just flock in and then you have interviews. That's not how the placements happen in US. It's a different ball game altogether. So don't look at reports of placement reports, because none of the universities would put any of those placement reports, because they don't really talk on those levels. So then the LinkedIn network, you can actually do the university name in LinkedIn and you'll get a lot of people. This was just something I've done in my network just to show you. You'll get a lot of, candidates, friends of your friends, maybe seniors, senior friends, whatever it is, you'll find people, you can just reach out to them. Yes, it takes a little bit of effort to reach out, and then only few of them will reply, but trust me, you'll always get some success. You only need 1 or 2 people to reply. When you try 10-15 people, I'm sure you'll get answers from at least 1 or 2. So just give time, and also understand they would be busy, and be a little bit more short and crisp. Don't try to eat out entire time of them because someone is helping you out, but try to be considerate and ask them for help, and you will get. Trust me, we have seen enough places and enough cases where students do get. So I would say you can do that. Then you can get to consultants, right? Like people who have experience and expertise with it. Like we do support students with our own knowledge, with our own experience, from helping hundreds of students over the years to get through universities of different programs, different application process and all of that. So we can talk to you, understand your profile, and recommend universities that suits you with a higher probability of getting in. Accordingly, you can also get a sense of what suits you, then do further research so that you can start applying. So that's how you should understand the universities also. Rankings, just because someone is saying this university is good, don't blindly go for it. Read the, go to the website of the university, see the rankings that they have, see, talk to the students that are studying there, because it's like finally your career, right? You should shortlist 10-15 universities, do further research, and then apply for 5-6 universities in that. So that is where you should spend time, and yes, I agree, you cannot do for 500 universities, but you should be able to do for 10-15 universities. Your profile calls for getting into Michigan State University, grade B, grade B plus. You should look at those universities rather than looking at Harvard or looking at 2 less of universities, right? That is where your understanding are. That's where you should get a sense of what my profile quality is, what kind of universities can I look, then shortlist, and then try to do further research in that domain, so that you narrow it down to some 20-25, not more than that, so that you can spend time to figure out the universities and their process. So the next step is the admission process, right? So I'll just quickly run you through the overall admission process. Let me just show this in our website that we have put the process. You can go through again if you're interested to just understand it in a bit detailed. So you just can look at all the countries, but let's talk about USA here, as we said. So the 6-step process that I'll talk about, that I feel is something that you should understand when you're applying for US universities. So the first step is to do preliminary research. As I said, there are hundreds of courses and universities. You got to weed out, or rather remove the things which are not relevant, and think of it, right? If you believe we can do preliminary counseling for you to just get a sense of what your profile is, what kind of universities you should look at, but post that we expect you to do some research and get it. That's the first step. then you need to understand the test preparation you need to do. See, now I hear some students saying that GRE has been waived off, which is true, right? Considerably good number of universities for fall 2021 have waived off the GRE exam. But I would say it's like 20-25% of universities, maybe 30% max. I don't have the exact numbers, but I would definitely say 30% of universities have waived off. Out of which, actually, the better thing I'm seeing is most of the good universities, the top universities, have waived off it more than the normal universities or good universities I've seen. So for that reason, yes, you can skip it for the fall 2021 if you are applying only for those limited set of universities. But if you are trying to apply for a broader set, let's say 7-8 universities to check which is my best admit I can get in, some of them would ask for GRE, some of them would not. So technically, when you are not taking the exam, you are only eligible to apply for 25-30% of the universities, right? Which is not an ideal situation to win, to be frank. If you are trying to do best for yourself in your life, you should not leave anything open in the air hoping that something good will happen. You should try your best within the limited resources that we have to make sure that you optimize your profile. So TOEFL or IELTS is a mandatory exam anyway. Even now, for an international student who is not a native English speaker, you are bound to take it. There is no doubt about it. That is something you have to do. But for GRE is something that you can walk out of it, assuming that I'll only apply for that 30% of universities which have waived off the GRE score, which is something, in a way, you are leaving out 70% of universities which you could look at for applications, right? Some of them could be very good universities for your profile and you could make it. And very important point, even if GRE is waived off, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do it for this admit year because they're waiving off. But generally, a lot of campus assistantships and all of that, your profile evaluation scholarships happen based on your profile, where GR is a very important score as well. So we see a lot of students getting the assistantships easily, scholarships easily with a higher GRE score in the batch. So that's something that we have observed with a good correlation between the chance of getting scholarships. And I'm not saying that is the only parameter, but it has a good correlation. It's a positive relationship that you have between higher GRE score and a high chance of making it scholarships or assistantships that you can get. But anyways, so what we are saying is that if you are someone who's looking for futuristic or even now as well, so you can take a diagnostic test with us for free, or we also have a package where you just have to pay 200 rupees to get a preparation plan with us. An expert will sit with you, analyze and help you out. There's a free test you can take, that is only to just test yourself and see where you stand. If you want further help in terms of starting your preparation, you can also take our 200 rupee package to get that guidance and preparation plan. We have also IELTS diagnostic test to understand where you stand. So if you are interested in any of this, you can look at our courses. Next step is final university shortlisting. This is where we help students. Once you got, or rather when you do on your own or anywhere, you should come up with all your scores, transcripts and all. Then you start to get to the final list of 6 to 8. We generally recommend students to apply 6 to 7. We categorize into safe, moderate and ambitious. Safe means based on our understanding in the past few years, for your profile, these universities are 80% probably going to get an admit for you. So when we apply for 3 universities, we generally see 2 admits coming for the students at least. Alright, on average we see 1, 3 depending, but 2 is what we generally see on average. So that is how we are assuring that you are at least getting an admit. Then we will apply for 3 ambitious and moderate, which means the probability will be less than 50%. But as a human, you should take that risk. Yes, it costs you a little bit, but you never know which university is going to give an admit for what reason. Right? So it's always good to apply for slightly higher level so that if luck favors and you get into a good admit. So because I'll tell you, we have been doing for students and our experts have experience of helping hundreds of students, but it's not that they have done all the universities across the US across the entire decade or something, right? So we will have experience in certain domains, certain things. There is always a little bit of experience. We also try with a little bit of experimentation. No one can be expert. I don't know if anyone can claim so, but we would say you should try and see, and then hope. We have seen success happening, right? I'm not saying everyone will get 1 out of 3 admits, but we get 1 admit, sometimes 2 admits also, which looked ambitious or moderate for us, but it really helped. That's when we slowly started to understand that better. So that is how you should also try, by taking a 3 safe, 2 moderate and 1 ambitious, or 2 ambitious if you are willing to go up to 7. Yes, it does cost you some amount. I'm not denying, because university applications will be 50, 70, $75, etc. Some might go even 100 plus. But I would say it is one-time opportunity you're trying to do. Make sure that you apply and do your best. It costs you maybe 50,000, 1 lakh on the whole, but then I think it's worth it when you're looking at a 30, 40 lakh programs that you're doing, right? The scholarships you could get, maybe you could save money by getting into better state universities where the fees is less. So there are a lot of factors that you can save by applying a little bit more. But I'm not saying to apply 2025, but make a list of a combination of safe, moderate, ambitious, and then try to apply for 6 to 7 so that you are spreading out your risk, diversifying your risk. That's a basic concept that you do. So if you need, we can also help with the university shortlisting, but then you need to have your documents, your transcripts, SOP, LORs, very, very important. I'll talk about them. You get all of them ready, you then apply for universities. Then once you get an admit from university, there's something called I-20 you should be getting. Basically that it is something you get from university to say that I've given a provisional admission and the student is eligible to pay me, are capable enough to pay the fees for me for the first tuition. You need to pay some caution deposit or show some financial support and all of that, that you can fund your program. Once you are done, then I-10 will come, then you have I-20 will come, then you have to get through your visa process, show your financial capability, and then show your maybe through loan, maybe your own family income. That's a different story, we'll talk about it, but that's how you get it. Once you get your financial support sorted out, then you have to apply for visa by filling the DS-160 series form and all of that. Then you get through the interview and then you clear and you get an admit, right? This is the overall process. It's a very long process. It does not happen in a week or a day or a month. Understand, obviously it takes 6 to 9 months of time to start from step 1 to come to step 6 to get through the visa, and then hopefully you will land up in your dream university. So that's why we tell students that don't underestimate and try to actually prepare. So for this I got this timeline from HDFC Credila. That's a non-banking financial company which is basically not a bank but gives you loans, education loans. It's a famous one, HDFC is only. You see this, they have given an application timeline for 2020. If you see this, they are telling that you need to get in August 2020. So this obviously almost done, but ideally you are somewhere here now. Sorry, this one is 1 year old, no? 2021 if you're talking about. They are telling you to start 13 months, 14 months before. I would actually say another couple more months, because the preparation and test part depends on your personal schedule in life. So if you have a little bit more leeway, you can prepare and accordingly take the test and retake it if you have not achieved the score you want. But whatever it is, I strongly believe that by August or September, you should be done with your GRE and IELTS or TOEFL scores, right? Because I'll tell you, most of the universities, I'll show you those as well, that start applications being open in October and November, and they close in December, January. The quality of universities will be, clearly proportional. Generally, not always the case, but good universities close in December, top universities. Then some universities, good universities, January, February. March is somewhere I would say is the last time you should apply. Yes, there will be universities which will take even in April and May, but the universities are not as good as what you can expect in the earlier. The deadlines are earlier closed for good universities. The scholarships are given for people who apply early, and you get an admit earlier only when you apply it. It's not that you will get all of the admissions later. If you apply in December, you'll get a result by Jan or Feb. It's better you apply earlier, understand the results, are you getting a scholarship, and accordingly take a decision to what to do next. Apply for a couple more or do something. So that's why it's always better to be better prepared. That is, you apply by or be ready with your entire SOP, LOR documents, all of that by October, so that you can start applying in November itself. So the earlier you apply, the better it is for you. I know you're planning to go for fall, right? If it's a spring thing, it'll slightly vary. I would say be ready by March, April. If you're talking about Jan 2022, you're trying to go, I would say be ready with all your scores and all of that by March, April, so you start applying in May itself. That's much better. Yes, you can apply up to September, October as well for spring. Here also you can apply till March, April, May also. Even some universities keep the deadlines open for May 2021 if you want to go for August 2021. But I'll tell you, the quality of universities wouldn't be as good as what you can get it if you look at January, February deadlines. I'll show you this. I'll show you with some examples. But this is how you should prepare. It's a 1 year, a rather slightly longer thing. Tell you, TOEFL or IELTS is a 1 month, 1.5 months preparation that I would give. GRE 2 to 3 months in a good level if you're able to put 150 200 hours of effort, or maybe 4 months depending on how your schedule works out. So good 4 to 6 months goes into your prep itself. You get your scores, they're valid for 5 years and 2 years. Then start working on your SOPs, recommendation letters, CV, doing some university shortlisting, talk to some people, get some knowledge. That takes you 1.5 good time to get it. That's when you will be ready with some list of universities, and then you'll be ready with all your scores and documents, and you'll start applying. Right? And when it comes to PhD, it's a little bit more rigorous. So I have two approaches for PhD. Some students prefer to actually apply to admissions team directly, the doctoral programs. Some people would actually reach out to the professors. So I'll tell you, like my friends who have done PhD or students, we have also seen, you will get sometimes response. Some professors will not be able to respond. So it's not that if they don't respond, you don't get it. Sometimes admissions team give you an admission, then they let you select your advisor after joining there. So that things also happen. So better to try both the approaches. That is, number one, way before the admission process starts, Try to reach out to the professors of your own interested domains. Try to drop messages to them. Talk about a simple introduction mail talking about your profile briefly, then talking about area of your interest, and see if he has any openings, right, in his PhD. So people do look for PhD positions open. That happens. So you just have to reach out to them, but don't do it just deadline, close to deadline. You have to do it at least 6 months, 9 months. It's better you do slightly earlier, so that if they have anything in their mind, they will come back to you if they like your profile. If that's not working, you have to do that also. Like you have to send 50, 100, 150 professors at least to see how it's working. Then the second thing is also to start applying for universities directly as well. We have seen enough cases where people got admits for PhD, the doctoral programs, directly from the universities, though they couldn't get any response from the professor. Once they get into the university, then it's their responsibility to reach out to the professors and get some advisor so that they can get their program started, the thesis perspective and the research perspective. So that's something you can do after you get into the college as well. So these things also do happen. So that's a slightly different case for PhD. So you have to be a little bit even more better prepared and do a little bit more, research on that part. But generally for masters, this is the timeline. For PhDs, I would say another 3-4 months upfront where you start reaching out to the professors of your domains that you're interested in. You cannot apply for admission without IELTS, Himanshu. You have to do either IELTS or TOEFL. Anything, English language test, either IELTS or TOEFL. And one of these two are what universities would ask for. So you should take that. So let's look at the admission cycles, right? I was talking about, see, every information is given in the website, okay? How you can just do research and you find it. So I just picked up 3-4 universities to show you what information would you get and how you need to navigate or maneuver through them to understand them. Right, let's look at this. I've picked up top university like Harvard, and then I've also picked up good universities as well, grade A plus A and all. So basically top 50 rank, top 100 rank, 150 ranked universities. So let me just show you certain things that I want to highlight here. You can just go search the university called graduate is for masters and doctoral programs is from PhDs. See, this is the application requirements. Okay, so they're talking about what exactly do you need to apply. Every university would write, and they will also have, if you have any questions, you can drop it, right? You will get a good response. Trust me, they might not respond immediately, but it is their job to respond to you. Some colleges or universities explicitly write in their website that if you want to check if your profile is eligible or would it be a good attempt to apply for us, you can also drop. I don't know if you get always. Some cases we do get responses, some cases we don't. Let's say my CG is so and so, my problem is so and so. Can I get is there a chance for me to get an admit? They will not tell you will definitely get or something, but they might tell you if you are not at all close to what the profiles they are looking at, they might warn you that it's better not to apply to us. Right? That's something that we get to hear. They don't say you will get an admit. They will rather say yes, you can happily admit it, apply for it. Even if the chances are not very high, they will still encourage you. But if it's absolutely on not a level that is required, they would warn you that it's not better to apply, rather look for other opportunities or somewhere. So you can always reach out to them if you have any financial questions on the loans, scholarships or something, not on the loans, but more on the fee waivers and all if they run. If you are financially weak, so you can reach out to them and ask and get support, right? These things you can do and you'll get support. Trust me, universities do respond well. So it is their job and they do that actually. So don't hesitate on it. Coming back to this, required application materials, this application fee, transcripts, letter of recommendation, SOP, I'll talk about it. GRE wherever required, so the programs will write it whether it's required or not. English proficiency is wherever required, right? So English proficiency is where you have to show your IELTS or TOEFL. So let's say, okay, I'll just click on that only to show you. Right, they're saying you should, if you are not a native speaker, right, who are not non-native English speakers in one of the 3 ways, right, TOEFL or IELTS score, they are also telling you receive an undergraduate degree from academic institution where English is a primary. But when they say that, it's basically they're expecting you from US institution where English was not primary, you can get a document and all. So this is more to do with certain countries, universities and all. So from Indian universities, I have not seen the US universities, Indian students, where they accept you doing it in Indian university where English is the medium of language for us basically, but still they would ask you to take the test. If you still want to check, reach out to them and you will get an answer. Just give me a second. You can still reach out to them. As I said, drop a message asking them should you take, you will get an answer, right? If you are still want to get the information. So you'll also find the deadlines for them. If you go about the programs of study, let's say, I'll just show you for 1 or 2 programs, you can find the deadlines as well. So generally for Harvard, the deadlines would be in December. Most of the top programs you see in Harvard, the deadline would be December 15th. Ideally, we are almost done. Some programs might have also closed. So right, see like this, right? The programs might change, maybe whatever you see, December. So it's for PhD or it's for masters, depending on the program. You will see most of them closing in December, few on Jan first week or something. So technically, I would say almost all the top Ivy League universities are the grade A plus I would classify as, would have the deadlines being very, very early, right? So this is something you have to understand, that accordingly you have to also plan your schedule. So let's look at the other. University of Colorado Boulder is a good university, like it will be somewhere in top 40, 50 ranked, and it's very famous for mechanical and certain domains actually. But again, so let's look at their admission requirements. So University of Colorado Boulder has actually waived off GRE this year. They generally take it, but this year they said you can apply without GRE, not a problem. Okay, so they are, so that and see this one, something I'm putting up to show you. So they are expecting for computer science masters, you should have done these courses. Hardware requirement, you should have done some computer systems course, basic programming language. So even people who are from mechanical and other branches would have done this. So data structures and all, so they're expecting some requirements. So if you have not done, you should do some course and all. You can reach out to them. They will have an option where you need to do an online course with them, by paying some additional amount. If the profile is good, they would consider. So you can still get in without it, and some universities don't even ask that. So I'm telling you that you can indeed do it, which is basically, and they are not required. You see, GRE scores are not required. They're waived off, but they're expecting you to have at least this. Doesn't mean if you have 3 CGPA. I'll talk about how the 4 scale system works a bit later, but it doesn't mean you can get an admit. Just to show you, and you can also look, deadlines for the University of Colorado are coming out to be more on January 15th or something like that, right? You can just click on how to apply and you'll get through the process, right? So that's something that you'll understand. The deadlines for it is more on the January. So I'll show you a couple more universities to get your sense. Stony Brook, for example, is also a good university, and you can easily find the deadlines if you just search for each universities and programs and whether GR is required or not. There's a basic research you should do. Okay, do not expect someone to just throw it at you. So this is for computer science again. I was just looking at it. So they are asking for GRE, must submit. You see, for PhD or MS, you are supposed to do it, and also advanced examination in computer science as well. If you want to do it, you can also take it. That's recommended from them, right? They're just recommending it. It's up to you whether you take it or not. But minimum is definitely this. And you can also see the deadline. You see, January 15th for fall 2021. For PhD, it's January 15th. For MS, they've already closed it. So in a way, you have to check for program by program. For example, Stony Brook Mechanical, I think, is in January, and also they have different deadlines for some programs depending on the department. But again, good universities, as I said, will be closing, in December and early January itself, right? So let's look at this University of South Florida. This is another, not A plus A, but it's still a very good university to look at. It's very famous for actually its low tuition fees relatively. So let's look at their deadlines part. So you can look for the deadlines program wise. Okay, so they have priority deadline, which is for getting scholarships and all. I'll tell you, a lot of universities would give you an early deadline, which will be very early. That is basically saying that you would be looked upon for scholarships and funding and waive off if you apply in that. If you do not apply, then you can apply still the next round, but the funds would have already been given to the early applicant, so there will be only small amount. They tell that they'll only give whatever is left out for the second round of applicants. The first round of applicants would already been allotted money or the waive off and funds, so you will not have. See, final international deadlines would generally come to be February. So the summer is actually this one. Sorry. So this one, I think this could be for a lot of programs. So let's look at generally the specific programs. This June is for a lot of programs where they have online and offline, all of that. Let's look at these. Generally, it should be somewhere in Feb and all of that. See, February, this again summer. So accountancy. Let's look at some chemical engineering. So they're saying fall, February. See, maybe you're looking at some other molecular biology cell. It's January 1st is what they're doing. So again, it depends on department, but let's say computer science, right? Computer engineering. So January 15th and also. somewhere, as you said, as you see the quality of universities being slightly lesser and lesser, the deadlines would be slightly pushed towards January, February, and March. Right, you can clearly see that we are going closer to fall. It's January for computers and all, but yeah, generally January, February, and you might see even for some of the March and all. Like some of these things are up to June also, but not very much in demand. But yes, so as you go down like this university also, you will see a little bit even more, pretty much the deadlines being same. So anyways, I will just skip this part for now, but just to give you a sense that I'll answer your PhDs and specific profile questions a bit later. Just wait. So this one again, the deadlines, right? So Jan 15th, you're looking at for MBA programs. They're talking about early round one, round two. For MS, they are talking about March, right? So as I said, slowly as you move for the quality of universities rank slightly lesser, you will see the deadlines being slightly more relaxed, Jan Feb. But personally, I would say keep it as February and March. By January, you should be ready if you're serious. I mean to say by November you should be ready to apply, but at least even now if you're looking for fall 2021, if you have not realized by now, start rushing and start looking at universities, get all your reports and all documents and all sorted out, take the exams and start applying for at least January, February deadlines. Anything beyond March, I would say they're not really good. It's not a very good option for your career. That's what we will tell you. So next part about the profile parameters, academic CGPA is what, one of the major factors that you look at. I'll talk about this briefly. We had another session where we explained these things very clear, so I'll just skip it. I'll just put it briefly. See, they use a 4-point scale mostly. Okay, there are multiple ways how you convert it. Number one, they ask for companies like WES. These are for US universities, is a very commonly seen situation. There are companies like WES and other companies as well. Universities specifically mention send your CGPA through these people. So these guys take your CGPA, semester wise transcripts and all. They'll ask you have to pay money, obviously. It costs you close to 15 to 20,000, and then they will send the your conversion to the lot of universities, right? Per university they have a fees and basic fees they have. On the whole, I would say this is the amount you will be spending, but this is what some universities ask for. You don't have a choice. You need to get it converted and then send it. So that's how this thing is one option you have. That is, you use the companies to convert your CGPA of a 10 point or 100% into a 4-point scale, and universities only look at it. Right. The other thing I see some people we also do, that is when universities don't ask for WES, you convert yourself into 4-point. Some universities ask you to fill at 4-point, but you don't need to do WES. So the ways they do is, number one, their CGPA or whatever the score is by the maximum CGPA. That is, if it's a 10, if it's a 8, whatever it is, into 4 is what you do. So if I got 7 CGPA out of 10, right, my will be converted into 2.8, which is not really a great conversion, right? So the other option a lot of people do is that they would actually do CGPA of theirs by the toppers. They use your topper. If a college topper is 8, right? So this way 7, even though your CG is 7, it's for 10 only. Your topper itself is at 8. Some universities are very hard to get in, right? So you will be getting 3.5 out of 4. So then again, the quality of college also matters, right? You're from IIT, NIT, BITS, or some other good colleges in the state level universities and all, versus not from a very known college and all. That would also be considered into your academic parameters. So some universities keep it, just apply at a 10-point scale. Don't convert anything, just send your scores as a 10-point only. So it again depends on university to university, but this is a very common practice for US universities. A lot of universities do ask for you to do through WES or some other relevant companies like it, where they would convert your CGPA. I will tell you just an approximate sense. Again, it matters on how good your college is and how your particular courses are and all, because they also look at course-wise CGPA or grades as well. But I'll tell you, anything above 8, you can look at it as like 3.5 or something. Anything about 7 to 7.5, you can take it as 3.25 or something, 3 to 3.25. It will come around this. So I would say a good CGPA for good universities would be this. Anything above 7, you're still fine. You're doing fine. Slowly, if you are less than 7, you have to understand that your academics are relatively on the lower side. You need to do something good in other parameters to boost further. Even this, obviously, I mean, it's fine, but you should try to improve your profile with other parameters, right? So this is a simple thing that we see generally based on some observations that we've had. So take it as closer to 4 is better CGPA, 3.5 is anything like 8 and above, and 7.5 will put it on 3, 3.25, 7.5 to 8, take it as 3.25 to 3.5. Less than 7 you'll start to get. This is where some universities outright reject the applications, right? I'm not saying with less than 70 you don't get. I'm saying some universities would have put a minimum of 3. If you're looking at University of Colorado Boulder, Harvard, they would have written that you should have a 3 CGPA. Right? If you have less than 7 in your college, the chance of them considering that your GPA is more than 3 is very less, unless, as I said, your college is very hard, your university is very hard to get grades and all. So these companies understand that. They have data to understand what is the average CGPA of this university, this college, how hard it is to get and all, so they convert accordingly. So that's why these companies can help. That's why universities ask for students to apply through them. So this is how your academics are valued. Higher the CGPA, better it is undoubtedly. If people say grades don't matter, it's a false statement. Okay, they do matter for this process. At least higher the grades, better it is, right? Just because you got highest 4 out of 4, you will definitely make it a very good college. Okay, if you have rest of the things are fine, you still make it a very good college. So trust that grades do matter. Having great acads do help you. If you still have a time, if you still have a chance to boost your CGPA, just keep working towards it. Next thing is exam scores, that is your GRE and the TOEFL scores. The TOEFL, RP, IELTS, whatever the English language scores are. I would tell you, when it comes to US universities, most probably this is just a a basic criteria. You should have good enough score to get an admit, like 6.57 plus. Pretty much you are good to go for this, and TOEFL maybe 90, 100 plus, depending on how good the universities are. You're pretty much good to go and admit. They won't reject you just because you get a lesser score in this exam, as long as you show basic proficiency. But when it comes to GRE, it has its weight. I mean, again, just because you get 340 out of 340, you don't get Harvard. There's a lot more. The Harvard average or median GRE score is close to 317 to 320. That means half of the batch of scored less than 320 who made it to Harvard top programs. Okay, how does that happen? That happens because they look at profile, academics, higher CGPA, a lot of research background, a lot of work experience, diversity. There are a lot of factors they look at before they give an admit. So, but we do not get a lot of those factors, right? Unless you have great academics, you have great research background. A good average student that we see, an Indian student, generally should boost their GRE score. Try to get as much as possible, right? 330 plus if you're looking at A plus universities, right? If you're looking at B plus, at least get 315 or something, right? These GRE scores 300 plus for certain universities you're looking at. So this would give you an opportunity or take away an opportunity from you. Whether you get how good your GRE score is going to decide which kind of universities you can apply. So better the score, higher the chance of making into a better university. And it doesn't stop here. I'll tell you that I was talking to one of the students who is doing his analytics program in Oklahoma State University. He said recently that he got a graduate assistantship. I'll talk about what that is. Right from the first semester, which is a very, very rare feat. Basically 85% of his tuition was waived off because of that. All of that because he had a high GRE score in the batch. Right, he got 318 and that was above the average, and his profile was good. So he got the campus job with a stipend, as well as got 85% of the tuition fee waived off. So this thing happens because your profile being good. Scholarships come because of your profile being good. They only give merit based scholarship to certain set of students. Again, they come with your overall profile, your academics, your research background, your work experience, SOP, LOR, and this course as well. Right, if you're looking at campus jobs and all with a low IELTS TOEFL score, especially in the speaking thing, your chance of getting a job is almost zero. They would straight away reject you from the pool of applicants if you are. So this also helps you in terms of campus jobs actually. But on the whole, these exams are very, very valuable. You should take them. Right. So should I take GRE or not? Yes, I know some universities don't ask for it. You can just check the website. I was showing the admission requirements earlier. Right. This is just taken from Harvard, where they said we need you to take the GRE test. Right. So Stanford, again, it's also saying that all applicants are required to take the GRE test. Right. So you can find TOEFL, IELTS, English proficiency tests also. So you'll find the requirements clearly in the application admission requirements. Read and understand. If you have any doubt, reach out to them. Right. The team will clarify if you have any doubt by any chance. Right. That's the way you can understand whether you should take GRE. Not for every program. Certain programs don't ask for GRE. But STEM programs, pretty much, yes, you need to take it. Maybe some literature arts programs I've seen where they would have, but this year, yes, some of the universities, good universities, have relaxed, agreed. 20-25% of universities definitely have relaxed, so you can accordingly take a call. For MBA, I would recommend GMAT, not GRE. GRE is accepted, but MBA programs, most widely accepted exam is GMAT, so it's better to look at GMAT if you are looking for MBA. So let's skip this. So English language exams also, I've talked about IELTS, TOEFL, right? So we have courses on GRE. If you're interested, you can look at them. I'll not get into too much of this. You can try free trial course. There's a diagnostic test for free. Experience it if you're interested. We also have a demo class. You can sit and then you can experience it. We will get the details about it if you're interested. So IELTS and all, so fine. We also have a diagnostic test, that is to check how good you are in IELTS right now. Our trainer will sit with you and help you out, understand, and help you with the preparation plan as well. If you're interested, you can take this. There's a demo class that happens for IELTS also every week. Our team will notify if you're interested. You can reach back to us. We can schedule it for you. So the next thing is profile parameters. Research. Research helps you a lot, especially for doctoral candidates or the PhD candidates. This is your make or break. If you don't have anything in the project research background, I would say it's not advisable for you to even look at PhD. Right? That's how it is. You're trying to get into academia, and if you don't have any research background, so it's a joke to apply for it. Sorry to say, but then yes, by now you should have figured out. If not, try starting figuring out so that you start getting some projects done under your prof, getting some research work done, get some publications or something that is respectable that you can talk to professors and show that you have experience in this field. So if a prof is taking you for PhD, it is especially or only for the reason that you are interested in research and got a good experience in it, right, in the domain that he or she is interested. So that is where you should actually try to get experience. But even for master students, right, it's very hard to see, but if you have one international publication, right, your profile will be boosted a lot. If you have more than one, it's even great. Research publications, this is better than having few domestic ones. I know some of them are there domestic, not so famous, not so great, but still some papers are better than having nothing, right? So better profile, better the number of research publications, research work you've done, worked with some of the good professors, researchers with a good reputation, good citations and all. Even if you've worked under them, when you write in your CV, when you write in your SOP, when you get an LOR, they do help you to give a very good feeling to uh, the admissions team, right? They'll be super happy. For PhD, that's a utmost important thing. Okay, for masters, I've seen most of the candidates would not have any of this before they apply. Agreed. But for PhD, I haven't seen anyone getting an admit without having anything of that sort, right? The better it is, the more you have, better it is in terms of your research experience and all of that. So this is something you should strive for if you're really interested in. For PhD, and for masters also, it's great if you have interest in academic research and all. Do it and try to get some, at least do some work, research work. Not necessarily you publish, but at least you have something to talk about in your SOP, in your CV, and get LOR from your any professor, any like a scientist in DRDO or someone who is doing some research and you've interned with them and have done some contribution. It really helps you to boost your profile. Then SOP LOR, statement of purpose. So this is something you need to write an essay giving a reason of why you want to get into this particular program. So there is no fixed answer for this. Okay, I talked to some of the profs and they say that they keep reading a lot of SOPs and they laugh at it and they leave it. Right, 20 to 21 year, 24-year kids writing something, their experience is not big enough to think about it. That's what they look at some of the prof, but some people really give a lot of weight to it. They read and try to get a see all the other parameters we talked about, right? Exam scores, your academics, your CGPA, your research, those are all your technical skill sets. Those are all talking only about you as a person on paper, about your skill sets and all. But this is where you show your human side. This is where you show why you want to do this program. What is your ambition? What is your long-term goal? What have you done till now? And how you are thinking that this particular program, be it a PhD or be it a graduate program, that could help you to bridge your gaps and then grow in that career. This is where you're giving a human touch to them. This is where you're talking to them, expressing your views, expressing your thoughts, expressing your ideas. So this has to be drafted in a way where you convey to them how important this program is for you, why you are interested in it, what's your long-term goal, as well as what's your skill set that makes them feel that you're a good candidate. You need to convey that. Your past skill sets, your past experiences should be written briefly. You should don't go too much because you have anyway CV and other things to talk about, but important points you need to touch upon. Then talk about your long-term goals briefly. Then say how this program, professor, whatever the thing you're applying for, can help you out, to connect the past and future in a particular, very useful manner, optimized way. That's how you should write an SOP. Letter of recommendations, again, you get it from people whom you worked with. I would strongly say recommend you to get it from mostly the research background people, academia world, professors and any scientists in DRDOs, any government organization, research organizations, etc. So that's valued more with more citations, more publications and all. If you are trying to get from industry because you have experience, maybe one out of the three. Generally, universities ask for 2 to 3. I would say don't go for more than one. Actually, the industry thing, unless you're applying for management and all, that's a different domain altogether. But in general, if you're looking at more of the programs, academic background, research background people are more appreciated. So you talk to them, reach out, get LORs. The better the reputation of the person who is recommending you, the higher the chance of converting into a positive vibe for your profile. So try to get not every random person, try to get someone who has a good reputation, citations, and research background when you're asking for LORs. Right. WorkX internships, again, relevant work experience internships would help you. So if you are working, applying for computer science, if you have worked as software developer, it helps you. So everywhere, whatever it is, internships and work experience in the relevant domain would be valued as a positive thing. So these are all what the profile parameters are. Right. I'll get into the finance part briefly for 10 minutes, then I'll take up your questions. Right. So the cost that you will incur when I'm talking about masters, I'll tell you one thing for PhD candidates. If you are going for PhD in US or any country for that matter, unless you are uber rich, I don't know why, what else could be the reason, but don't go for non-funded programs. Fully funded PhD plus a place where they would support you with campus jobs is where you should go for. That is how you should look for. That is how you should do it. Otherwise, don't do your PhD. It's not a joke to sit for 5-6 years where you put money out of your pocket, costing a lot of money. Right? Anyone who is serious, not just about the money part, it also shows that you are not getting into a good university. A good prof with good projects and good background will always get projects funded, and he can support his PhD candidates. If they are not supporting their PhD candidates, then that means they are not good enough, and that means your career is not in the right direction. So that's a very, very strong thing I say. I've talked to a lot of PhD candidates over the last few years. Everyone tells the same thing. If you are serious about it, you should go for only fully funded, not just to save money. That is basic sign that shows that you are getting into a good career path, at least in a decent career path. Right? If you are going for a program where university or the prof is not able to fund you, then it's a joke. Don't do the PhD. Right? That's a very strong recommendation. For masters, expecting you to get full waive off is a joke. It's very hard to get that. You will get some scholarships and waive off campus jobs and all. For masters, it's a goal where you are planning to spend money, get a job, and do well in career. So that's the investment you're putting. It does cost you. On average, I would put it 30 to 50 lakhs is what you can assume as the cost to be on average. Right? All depends on again how you do campus jobs and what kind of scholarships you get and etc. But people do with less than 10-15 lakhs also, but very rare. But mostly I've seen most of the people ending at 30 to 50 lakhs as the entire expenses they have put, depending on universities you get in, how the living expenses, the cities you have lived, how lavish you have spent on all of that. In that also you can get scholarships, you can get campus jobs, tuition waive offs and all, which would save you. I'll get to that part. Right, there are 3 assistantships that are very important for you to understand: teaching assistantship, research assistantship, and graduate assistantship. I'll talk about each one. So teaching assistantship is nothing but these are all campus jobs. Okay, that is, you are getting a job. So this one is generally seen mostly for PhD. So a prof, if he's running a course in a semester, would want one teaching assistant, and they would generally be first priority would be to give for PhD candidates because they are supposed to fund the PhD candidate. But I have seen a lot of master's candidates as well getting the teaching assistantship, but it does not happen in the first semester. Okay, for master candidates it does not happen. For PhD, if you have your guide already, so then he would definitely put you in before coming in as well. So that's for PhD. But when it comes to masters, you can't expect any of these assistantships in the first semester. I have seen less than 15 to 20% of people who have gotten some assistantship in the first semester of their masters, and that is especially because of the profile being very good, higher GRE IELTS scores, right? So there will be few slots. The first come, the higher the profile, better it is, sort of it. So they fill them with that. Right, but most of the people will not get any of this assistantships in the first semester. So assistantships pay you money. They pay you $15 to $20. If it's a teaching assistantship, they pay you slightly more, research and teaching. For 20 hours is what you work. So I see an average people, again 10 to 20 hours depending on the opportunity, people make $700 to $1,500 in a month, which is basically for your living expenses. The money you get from these jobs would cover your living expenses, your hostels and all of that, not the tuition fee. What is the role of teaching assistantship? It is support the trainer, right? The professor, teaching classes for undergrads if you are a graduate. If you're a PhD, you take from undergrad and grads, right? Giving some assignments, grading assignments, proctoring exams, helping in the labs, etc., tutoring students, right? Basic, stuff you see. I'll also show for one of the university just to give you a sense. For graduate, research assistant is basically who helps in the research part. Generally, again, PhD candidates are very, very preferred, obviously, for this. The next, whatever the left out slots are, masters would get. Again, it depends on your past background of any research experience. If you have a good research experience and you are doing good in your college, you have a chance of getting it. Right? So it's basically to do experiments, do some research for the professor for the project they are doing, analyzing the data, right, making some publication content and all of that. But it's a very good experience for people who wants to get into academic world. Right? It's a learning wise and all of that. Again, you also paid well. The best parts about these two, right, is that good number of students do get tuition waive off. If your prof is really, really happy with you, right, if you really impress them, they support you, they talk to the college and they get your tuition waived off. 100%, 50%, we have seen most of the cases happening in-state tuition fees. So in-state and international students, that is US citizens, pay very less compared to international students. So they convert your tuition into this. Basically half of it or slightly less than half. If you're paying $20,000 as a tuition fee in a year, if your in-state tuition fee will be $10,000, $8,000. So you'll save a lot of money, 8 to 10 lakhs in a year if you get something like this, right? So if you are collecting into getting your teaching or research assistantship, you are doing a very good job in terms of your learning, in terms of earning money, in terms of saving the tuition fee. All the things are a very big positive things. How do they get in it? They don't give you first semester generally, very few get it. How good you perform your CGPA, how good you build a rapport with professors, because those are the ones who would give you. So impress them through coursework and all of that. Try to show your interest. There are some basic tips people tell so that you can actually get the research assistantship, so that you get all this waive off and all the benefits. The last one is the graduate assistantship, which is like a campus job, clerical support. You help in basic thing, or maybe help them in website management, libraries and all. Maybe help them in marketing, recruiting students, getting students. So a lot of things. Right here, the chance of getting tuition waive off is very less. People don't get the tuition waive off here, but they get a salary of $10 to $12. Even the salary is slightly less. But yeah, this is like the bare minimum. People who couldn't get into the top half of the students will get into this. Whoever couldn't get it, they still get the graduate assistantship, but it will be to just get your living expenses, but not a great thing. But there are few universities, like Oklahoma State University has this in their analytics program. They are waiving off 85% of tuition fee even for the graduate assistant, which is very rare. We don't see it very commonly. So some people do that. So let's just see one example like Arizona State University, right? Maybe I'll just show you before. One second. So this is one of the universities, right? Graduate assistantship programs. So they're talking about all the types of assistantships you get. They also talk about the benefits. You can clearly see what you're going to get from this, where they've clearly mentioned you will get tuition and service fee waiver. So you will get all of that. You will be getting some money as well, monthly stipend. But the major important point is that you will get a tuition waive off. Right? Will it be 100%? Not necessary. It will be 50%, 30%. As I said, our in-state tuition fee. Whatever you save is a great amount you'll save. So that's how you look at. So if you look at, for example, this Arizona State University's thing, just give me a second. They've clearly mentioned what is the criteria also. You can find it actually, even if you go to the websites, even you can reach out once you got an admit also, to just see if you're interested. One of the important parameters which I want to show in your selection criteria is your speaking skills in English language exam. TOEFL or IELTS, whatever you take, they clearly write all teaching assistants whose native language is not English must take the IBT, the TOEFL test, and receive a score of 26 or higher in the oral. Or if you take IELTS, we generally see 6.5 as a requirement generally in speaking. And the overall should also be more than that, but also in speaking is important because as a teaching assistant they expect you to do. Otherwise, you need to take a campus test, right? The college would conduct their own test to see how good you are, and then they will decide. So that's why it's very important for you to do well in your communications as well, right? So these are the campus jobs you can get and how you can reduce your fees and all. Then the scholarships, right? So every university would give scholarships. Generally, you can go to the website. I'll just show you one example. So they will give you merit-based scholarship. That's the top applicants would get some discounts in the fee, right? $5,000, $10,000, $2,000 per year, something. Maybe not great amount. Whatever you get, you'll get it. And people also can get, the need-based scholarship, which is based on your need. You need to show your financial income. If it's less than that, they waive off. So you can easily, go through the documents and financial aid, write to the team. They'll tell you how much you can get and all of that. Every college has basic scholarships, but I'll say merit-based scholarships. That is how good your profile is. If you are the top applicant in the batch of students who are joining, you'll have a very good chance of getting scholarship. Next thing would be about need-based, right? It's about whether you have financial problems. You can always reach out to them, and they will look at your profile, family's income and all, and then they will let you know how much they can support you with. Then there's a great thing, some universities are rather not university, states, I will tell you. Texas is a very specifically good state in that aspect, that if you get any scholarship more than $1,000, you will be converted into in-state tuition fee student. 20,000 is what University of North Texas, Dallas per year the tuition fee would be. If you are in-state student, you will be only paying $9,000 odd. Just you get $1,000 from a college based on some merit and need that you're getting, technically you'll automatically convert it into a in-state tuition. So that's the rule they follow in the state, not just for North Texas, all the Texas, Dallas, Austin, all the University of Texas you see, they have this policy. So again, it's something that a government, state government is supporting the universities because they're all public universities which are funded by them. So they are running some, so that's where I would say Texas has a good concept that your cost will go down if you apply and get some scholarship, which is very much possible, and you can get it. So that's how we help students when they ask for scholarships and all based on their requirements. There are certain things, certain key experiences that help us to figure out and help you with the scholarships. Then there are always the government organization scholarships which you get, like Fulbright, Nehru Masters Fellowship. Right? They're all worldwide or Indian governments funding the students who are trying to do masters in foreign countries. You can apply for them on your own, and then you can get it some support if that's whatever the criteria be. So that's how the scholarships would generally be. Universities do provide scholarships, merit based. If your profile is very, very good out of the applicants, which is again all the parameters, your CGPA, your GRE, your IELTS TOEFL score, your research background, all things considered. The second thing would be your need based, and then some specific universities and state based, they convert some of those things. So that's how also you can save the money. So we also have a scholarship concept, that is we have partner universities, almost 600 partner universities in the world. So if you're interested, you can apply to them through us, and if you join, you get a scholarship from us. So it's a $150 thing, not a great, but then we are giving it, we do it for free for you, the processing, and we also give you scholarships if you join them. So that's how it will work. You can find in our website the list of universities, or you can reach out to our team if you're interested. Finally, the financial aids part, right? The loans part. You have banks, you have NBFCs which gives you loans. So SBI, HDFC, ICICI, these are the banks which give you at a very low interest rate. So I will tell you, if I am a student, my first priority is to go to banks to get loans, because they give you good amount at a less interest rate. But the pain point is it takes a lot of time and it requires a lot of documentation. Okay, they are very strict in giving it. Obviously, that's why they give at a lower 9 to 10% is what the loan rates would be right now for the education loans. You will get 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs, 70 lakhs, secured, unsecured. There are a couple of loans, I'll talk about it. Then you have NBFCs, are private companies which are non-banking financial companies, Avance, Oxilo, Incred. They give you loans relatively easier, the speed with which they process and the requirement documents, but the rates should be higher. You generally pay 13, 14, at least 2 to 4% higher than what you see in banks generally. Okay, that's how. So again, it's pros and cons are there, but it's not easy to get in. If you ask me 100 people get a loan, I would say not more than 30% of them might get here. I don't have exact number, but based on what we have seen for students. But most of the students who get rejected here also go here, then they get the loan approved. But higher interest rate, but that's a risk they're taking. These guys are taking. So first step, apply these companies. If you are rejected, then go for this. Right? That's how you can get through the process. So there are two types of loans: secured and unsecured. Secured means you have to put some asset, right, on house, land, whatever. The rates would be less. It's relatively easy, and they give you longer repayment period, and they don't ask for any financial documents of your parents or something, because they're happy because you have collateral. They go even up to 1.2, 1.4 crores. I've seen banks and NBFCs which give up to this amount if you have a valuable asset that you're putting as a collateral, and they know that this collateral can cover up what if you don't pay. That's why they don't ask for any other things. But when it comes to unsecured, we see a limit of 30 to 40 lakhs. They don't give more than that. The interest rate will be higher because obviously they are taking higher risk, and it's a bit difficult to get from bank actually. But then you can get it relatively from the NBFCs, and they expect you to show some monthly income of your parents, right? What is your family's income levels and all. So are these guys able to pay the basic EMIs and all of that, right? That's how they check it. And I'll tell you, for example, I was talking to one of the NBFC recently to have a partnership for our students. So they were telling that if your student has more than 310 in GRE and is getting into top universities in US, we can give it unsecured and not even asking for a co-applicant, co-sign and something, because they are very confident with a particular profile that they will get a job, they'll pay us the the loan back. So good profiles, you don't have to worry, you'll get the loan for sure. If you're not getting into a top university, you're not having a good scores, you're not having a great university admits and all, that is where you start to struggle. Otherwise, you should have good backing from your family that helps you. If you're lacking both of it, then it makes it hard. Right? See, family's income and family's financial level is not in your hands. I agree with that. But good profile and good scores, good admits are in your hands to a good extent. So that's what we tell students, that understand and try to work hard and make a good choice so that you don't become a burden for your family. It's a good career dream that you're having to go US and do well, but then it should not be a big problem for your family also. So there are certain things you can do which requires you to work hard, be more smart and also hardworking. So that's what we ask students to understand that. Right, so I'll take up questions now. So now I have nothing else to answer, say from my side. So I'll keep it open. You guys can ask me questions and I'll answer them. So there are some questions in between, so you can just post the questions. Rahul, there is a difference between fall and spring for sure. See, fall is where you will get most of the admits happening. Spring is January. The number of seats, the number of admits are much lesser. I would say if 100 people are joining in fall, generally you see 20-25 people joining in spring. Number one. Some universities don't even take spring admit. Some universities take it, but even if they take it, they take very limited seats. So basically, in a way, you are limiting yourself when you are applying for spring. If you are desperate and if you want to go immediately without wasting time, people do go. Not that you don't have. A lot of people do go. It's not really a bad choice, but if provided you have a choice, I would any day ask students to go for fall. That's how it should be. Unless you have missed out and you have some urgency, you want to get in some universities and all, that's a different story. But yeah. Sirish, MSBA Analytics, okay. Applying for US, Canada, should I give IELTS or TOEFL also? See, if you are looking to apply for both Canada and US, you should give IELTS. The acceptance is very high for IELTS in Canada. TOEFL is equally accepted in US, or rather TOEFL has slight edge in US. If you are looking only at USA, I am saying you can choose either of it, TOEFL or IELTS. You won't go wrong. But if you are thinking of both the countries, one exam that can solve your problems in both the cases, both the countries would be IELTS. So you should take it. And I told you for fall 2022 that this is the timeline that we are talking, right? This is the perfect timeline that I will show you again. And if you're talking about USA, you should also take GRE. Okay, this is the perfect timeline I talk about. Just let me change the years, that's it. 2022, August 2022, if you want to go for fall, you should be starting in July 2021, or rather my advice would be to start January 2021 in terms of preparation. Take your GRE, IELTS. IELTS you can do slightly later, TOEFL or IELTS. GRE takes a little bit longer time. Take 3-4 months training, practice, and try it in your summer, the May of 2021. Then start focusing on the English test and write it. And by August, get done with your GRE and IELTS. Then start looking at universities, shortlisting, prepping, all of that. So that way, by July, be ready with your exam scores. And if you didn't get a good score, if you write in May itself, you can reattempt again, right? That's why I asked students to be a little bit, because 5 years valid, GR is valid for 5 years. So, and IELTS TOEFL is valid for 2 years. So you have enough time to not worry about it. Then start working towards, shortlisting universities and be ready with your application. That is scores, your documents, universities and all by October 2021. That is a ideal behavior if you ask me. So that you start applying from November, December. Even if the deadlines are February for a university, they open in November, December. You apply earlier, you apply, better it is for your scholarships. Better you get an understanding of admits that you have in hand, and then you can take a decision accordingly whether you need to apply for some more or you can wait and all of that. So earlier you plan and act, it's always a good thing. I don't understand why students do not do it. Maybe it's just part of human tendency to procrastinate, but yeah, that's a better timeline to look at. Provide me shortest universal master in microbiology. Shubhajit, you can reach out to our team. You can go to our website, fill your details. They'll ask for some profile, and based on which we can help you with the shortlist. That's something we can do, not a problem. But I'll tell you, we do preliminary shortlisting. We only do very clear by asking your requirements and which states, which universities, scholarships, and all you're looking at. That is, if you take our consulting, we do a free counseling and free shortlist. That's a very preliminary shortlist for you to do further research. But if you need a very proper 6-7 with safe, moderate, ambitious, right, and I want to apply for lesser fees and all those customizations would not be done in a free thing. But we do it in our paid service. It's a 2,000 rupee for shortlisting alone. If you're interested, you can take our service. We give admission guarantee if you apply to universities that we recommend. If not, we'll repay the money as well back for the fees that you paid. But yes, you can anyway get the free service also if you are interested. That's not a problem. You can just get to our website or fill the form. Our team will get back to you and give you the required information. Anything else? So any PhD for any program, it's all the same. Find out the universities which are good in your program. Reach out to the professors in area of your interest. Drop a mail to them. Do introduction. That's one approach. As I said, reach out to professors in different universities and try to see if they're interested. There have been cases where people respond and then you get in touch and then you get an admit. And there are cases where people do not respond and they apply to the universities directly through admission process, doctoral programs, and they get an admit in the university and then they get a prof after joining that. So you should be ready for both. So do the first one upfront and see if anything is working out. If not, then start applying when you come to the doctoral deadlines, and accordingly let's see what's the process and you can take. Right, that's for any PhD program. I'll tell you the same process. So you have any more questions that I need you to answer? So you're talking about master in management, marketing, and all of that. Uh, Suresh, I would say the opportunities are there. Okay, it's just that certain domains are very hard to get in. If you ask me, I'm not an 100% expert in specific domains, to be frank. But I'll tell you, when you do masters in management, right? Yeah, you can get into certain domains. Again, people I see get into analytics domain, right? Again, people I see to get into the information systems, MIS domains and all of that, where you will be playing in a desk role and all. If you are ambitious about getting into marketing, sales and all, as an international person, it's very hard to get into certain domains. Getting into finance domains, getting into operations domain, getting into information systems domain, management information systems, basically, all of these things happen by analytics and all. It's something that I keep seeing people getting in. Even after doing masters in management, they get into these domains, and the opportunities are there. Great opportunities. The thing is, you should also look for STEM program. Okay, if it's not a STEM program, which is what MIM specifically have to look for. Each university has a different classification. You have to understand, is it under STEM category. If not, you'll only have 1 year of OPT. You don't have 3 years of OPT. That means you have to get a job within a year, and you need to get H1B. Otherwise, you will be kicked out of the country. Whereas in STEM programs, you have 3 years of period where you can search and try for 3 H1B picks, and hopefully people get it. So that is something that I also have a problem with. Masters. Not every masters in management is like it. As I said, you should see if it's a STEM program or not. You'll go to the website. If your information is written, if it's not clear, write it to the admissions team. They'll clarify whether it's a STEM program or not. That's the one risk you have. See, if you don't get a job and get H1B within a year, you are basically asked to move out, right? Second thing, the opportunities are limited in certain domains, but those domains are doing fine. If you do it, if you have experience, it's always a plus, because if you have done undergrad in bachelor's management, I think that's a good connect. Otherwise, I would recommend you to at least have, unlike in Indian IIMs or other B schools where you can get as a fresher from engineering background, this is not as respected in those countries. So it's better if you have some experience in management, or otherwise consider getting into programs where it is a little bit more specific, like supply chain, logistics or analytics or something which is a bit more specific to domain, and you can learn and get a job, right? But make sure you try to look for STEM unless you're willing to take the risk. Okay, that's a very important criteria I would recommend you to look at. Any other questions you have before I end? Maybe I'll take one or two more if you have. Right, then I'm assuming I could help you with some things. If you're interested, you can reach out to our team. Right, if you're applying for fall 2021, right? Are you looking for GRE or IELTS or any of the exams? So we have a lot of free content also in the website, a lot of trial course and diagnostic course and all. We also have demo classes if you're interested. If you believe we can help you out, you can also reach out to our team for a preliminary counseling, right? With me or one of other expert in the team. You can just book a slot and have a 15-20 minute call where we can help you with more personal, interaction and questions, right? So you'll get a link to register for that 15-20 minute call. If you're interested, you can book a slot and have a call with me or a couple of experts in the team. So thanks a lot and all the best. I hope it was a useful session. If you need any more information, reach out to us. If there's something we could do, we'll definitely help you out with that. Thank you and all the best.